Interesting, interesting, interesting. Florals. Interesting patterns right here on your screen, Jamaica. But what's behind the pattern? The African pattern. That one's called Don't Turn Your Back on Me. All right. Now you've seen what's there, Jamaica. And you know I'm so pro-Africa. I am so pro seeking knowledge on everything that I am honored to have historical African prince, artist, educator, and researcher Lucille Jonquier with me this morning to empower and educate us about our story of the African cloth. It's great to have you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Very good.
Excellent. So I want to start at the beginning.
Sure.
Tell me the story of the African cloth.
Okay, so it's a complex history wrapped up with slavery and colonization. Sadly, with raw materials, the Europeans were able to industrialize early. They industrialized a place called Java, which is now known as Indonesia. They tried to mimic the handmade cloth of the Indonesians and created these cloths, which we see here. The Indonesians didn't like it, so they found an alternative market in West and Central Africa. And in collaboration with the traders and the buyers, they changed the motifs, the symbols to become more African. And so the fabric has evolved and become more African over the years. So it's iconic and in terms of its identity with Central Africa. It's a complicated history.
It is, because when you say the Europeans who did a wicked thing to our people, they stole the cotton, they took the cotton.
They took the cotton, the huge wealth, enabled Europe to industrialize early and mechanize, especially in areas of cloth production.
And have we caught up as an African people? Have we been able to benefit from our own ideas, our own cloths, our own labor, like they have?
No, not in terms of wealth and ownership, no. In terms of the identity of these cloths, most definitely, because the identity of the cloth is African. When you look at it, most of the inspiration, apart from the early ones, it's African iconography, it's everyday objects, it's proverbs. But in terms of wealth, no.
And so we have a lot to do to catch up. And we need to catch up because we had a bad head start. And I just want to say, I thank you for taking us through this. I'm glad that the identity, though, is still there. And many like you are seeking the knowledge and sharing it. So take me through the prints, because when we say Africa, we know it's such a big continent with so many countries, so many cultures within even one country. Take us through.
So this first one called Otpa, apologies to anybody if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but it stars, blessings. It's a celebratory cloth. This is one of the early ones, sort of designed to mimic the Indonesian batiks. And it wasn't successful with the Indonesians, but it's still a really popular cloth in Central and West Africa, and particularly countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. They're the ones who really appreciate and use these fabrics.
You know I'm getting all excited touching. You know, I'm like, can I take this one and wrap my body up and wrap my head? All right, Central
Especially
Africa.
when they're 100% cotton.
Lovely.
And also with our history wrapped up in cotton. It's cotton, and it's a painful history. It's part of our history.
It is.
How do we choose to engage with it? So the next one.
We need to take it back.
The next one is a hugely popular one.
This one is from where?
This is 1960s cloth. It's called Addis Ababa.
Ah, Ethiopia!
Yes, and the reason for that is the inspiration is the derivative of an Ethiopian noble person's handmade embroidered garment. So when people wear this, they may not actually know what they're wearing, but in some way, perhaps intuitively, they're connecting with the Ethiopian identity of the cloth. So is this European and is it African? Well, it's derived from an African embroidery. What do we call it? Well,
Africa.
You gave it to us, you're not having it back. And so the exhibition at the African Caribbean Institute.
Yes, that's going on right now.
It's going on right now. It runs right through Monday to Friday, and they're opening especially on the last Sunday in June. So
Yes.
it's open last Sunday. The rest of it's Monday to Friday. We have a number of activities.
Yes.
The artist talk on Friday, 2 to 4. A little workshop that I'm doing about design.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on down there. It's an exciting exhibition and people
Yes.
are engaging with it. We have a selfie studio there.
Okay.
People love to take pictures when they go to
course.
exhibitions,
Yes.
and we're encouraging it in the selfie studio. There's an African cloth backdrop.
Yes.
This one, Darling, Don't Turn Your Back on Me.
What's it called? Darling, don't turn your back on
Darling,
me.
Don't Turn Your Back on
That
Me.
man tell my husband every day, darling, don't turn your back on me.
You don't need to do that. You can just wear the cloth, and I think you'll get the point.
Honey, honey, honey.
And that the
This is
design
from?
came from some traders. They actually designed it. And they gave it to the manufacturers, and it's supposed to be an angry woman upset with her husband, turning her back in bed. And then he says it's popular in French-speaking countries, so he says in French, darling, don't turn your back on me.
Oui, oui.
And there's another one which
Yes.
You could
Let's go
use
through
also
them.
for your husband. It's in the exhibition. People will have to come there and see it. Come to the African Caribbean Institute.
Yes.
It's called Ungrateful Husband. So tell him what the cloth means and then just wear it.
Uh-oh, you're ungrateful. I love, where's this one from?
This one is called Chaussures, sorry about my French, de Boni Yayi.
Yeah.
It's Benin, former Benin Prime Minister, President, and is named after his shoes. These
Look
are
at
still
that.
very popular in Jamaica.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Lovely. We're going to keep moving quickly
Okay.
because I want to go through
Rust
them.
Talks, Fly Talks or Baygon. The
Baygon.
Jamaicans will know what this means.
Where's this from now?
This is another one. In each of the different countries, they're given a different name.
Yes.
And so I've tried to do research to gather the names in the different countries, what they mean. Some of them have proverbs as well.
Right, right.
There's a lot more names that are showcasing in the exhibition, and I'm only giving a flavour
Yes,
because
a
I want to
flavour.
entice people to come down there.
I have to ask you, when it says guaranteed wax block prints, what do they mean by wax? I know you say
This is the
cotton.
process of the printing.
Okay.
They're using a kind of resin that they're using as a wax. So
Yes.
traditionally the cloths were made by the Indonesians. They use wax to resist the dye, to build up pattern.
Okay.
And so that's what that's referring to.
All right, we don't want to give them everything
No.
because we want them to come to the
Definitely.
exhibition. And again, tell us the time, tell us what you will be focusing on in your presentation and lecture, curator.
Yes, thank you. On this Friday, between 2 to 4 p.m., I'll be giving the curators talk. So a little bit of background to the exhibition, a background to me as an artist and a researcher. There'll be some refreshments as well. So that's this Friday. Next week, Friday, we'll be having a sort of an event that's run by Bookstagrammer and somebody else, and that's focusing on literature,
All right.
how it relates to the exhibition.
That's beautiful. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Artist, educator, and textiles researcher, Lucille Jonquier. My people, still to come, we'll be having Vive la France, our countdown to the World Cup 2019. But first, here's the news in 5. And remember, we say Africa.